mia. Mamma mia. September wrap up. This is what I read. This is what I read in September. So, that was very double chinny. I read a grand 13 books. So, in any particular order, because I don't remember what order I read them in. So, we have Bumped by Megan McCaffrey. This was a very strange novel. It is the first book in a duology, and it is about a society where adults can't have kids anymore, so they pay teenagers to have them for them. And there's people who do it professionally, and there's people who just get knocked up and sell their kids, and then there's people who don't at all. So, the story follows Melody and Harmony, two twins that were separated at birth. So, Melody is a professional baby haver. She hasn't had any babies yet, but she's trying to have her contract fulfilled. Yes. The story starts out with Harmony finding Melody and trying to bond their sister bond, trying to be sisters because they were separated at birth. Melody went and lived with parents that were doctors and very smart and all this, and then Harmony was brought up in the church. So, okay, they do this weird religion, sex comparison a lot, so it's quite cringy in parts, cringy some parts. They talk about boners a lot, which is, it's not a read for someone young, essentially. I give it a 3 out of 5 stars because I liked the concept, I just did not like the execution. Book number 2 is The Sun and Her Flowers by Rapi Kaur. So I really wanted to like this book because she is a Canadian author and I wanted to support a fellow Canadian gal, but it is a little bit too whiny and angsty and for me, I did marked one to share with you. There was one I liked and I did mark it, but there's one I marked to share with you. I marked it gag at this one. I could be anything in the world, but I wanted to be his.
After be like.
That's how I feel about that. Yeah, no, I feel bad, criticizing it, but I just, I can't with it. It's just so self-important, and I know a lot of people really like this and her writing, so my opinions are my own, and they are my opinions. You have your own, that's fine. They're not attacking you, my opinions are mine. I didn't like it. I gave it a 1 star. Third book is, it's upside. The Unwritten Rule by Elizabeth Scott. So this book is a contemporary novel about a girl who is in love with her best friend's boyfriend and justifies her liking her best friend's boyfriend because she liked him first. So it's okay. And yes, she finds out that he might also have feelings for her, and the story starts. So there was a lot of repetition, there was a lot of self-important bullshit. I didn't like it. I gave it 2 stars because I did like the concept. I just didn't like anything else about it. Then I have Jumping Off Swings by Joe Knowles, which is another contemporary. This is a story that follows 4 perspectives: Ellie, Josh, Corinne, and Caleb. So this is a story about loss of innocence that comes with growing up, and it deals with heavy-hitting subjects such as teenage pregnancy, home life issues, depression, issues with your parents, just, it's a lot. And it's very short and very sweet and very wholesome and very heartbreaking. I loved it wholeheartedly. I'm gonna give it a 4-star only because I hated the ending. It just didn't do it for me, so it is what it is, though. It is a really good book, though. If you enjoy contemporary, I think it is worth picking it up and having a little read ski. I have number 5 is Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. So I have read the Court of Thorns and Roses series, and I really enjoyed them. So I thought I was really going to enjoy this, and I picked it up, and it took me an abnormally long time to get into it, but once I got into it, I fell in love with the story. Selena is my favorite. She is such a badass. I love Kale. He's also super cool. I love Dorian. I love her dog Fleetfoot. They're all fun. I love the whole concept. I love the action. I love the ancient power aspect of it. I thought it was a great book, honestly. Again, I know people hate it and some people love it, but that's pretty much how things are with Sarah J. Maas. It's either one or the other. I liked it. I'm gonna give it a 4. Did I give it a 4? I think I gave it a 4. A 4 out of 5 stars. I could have used a little bit more romance, honestly. Next is the sequel, Crown of Midnight by Sarah J. Maas. I had it on audio, so I don't have a physical copy to show you, but Crown of Midnight. I liked it a lot more than the first book. My ship got together and I was elated. There was more action, there was more mystery. I loved it. The ending of it had me absolutely in shambles. Oh my goodness gracious, Lord Almighty. It was
Louisa.
insane. Allie's here for the ride.
Stop showing me. I look like a garbage can.
Anyway, I don't know if this is good. It's cool. I loved it so much. I loved it. It was so good. I'm gonna go get a physical copy so I can read it again. 5 out of 5 stars because it was so good. One of my favorite characters. What? And you learn so much more backstory. I love it. And the world, beautiful. Multiple dimensions, awesome. 5 out of 5 stars. I have After by Anna Todd. So I read this book in early 2019 for the first time. I am going to be filming a video about this book. That is why there's so much annotation on this book. I am so trash when it comes to the After series. I love it. I live and breathe it. I think it's great. But I recognize the problematic themes. I recognize the problematic subject matter. And it's okay. Because I know it's problematic and I know that it should not be romanticized. But I love Hardin. I hate Tessa. I love it! It's good. I will be making a video where I'm actually going to critique it, so don't think I'm just going to blow smoke up its ass the whole time, because I won't. I promise. A little bit of smoke, but not completely. 5 out of 5 stars. Then, my next book is After We Collided, the second After book, also a reread, but I listened to it on audio. So, I don't have a physical copy because I also only own it on Kindle. Anyway, another 5 out of 5 stars. There's problems. There's romance. There's yoga class.
There's Smith.
There's smut. There's Smith. There's English majoring. There's more problems. There's underage drinking. Everything you need in a new adult romance. 5 out of 5 stars. I don't like that one as much as I like the first one, but I can still appreciate it, you know? My next book is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. I did a whole video about this, so I'll put the link underneath, I guess, if you want to know my thoughts about this. Mostly it's about the characters. I didn't really talk about the storyline, but I talked for a really long time because I have no self-control. Anyway, I loved this book. I hated all the characters, and I loved it because it's unapologetically itself. It wasn't trying to please me. It was like, this is how it is. If you don't like it, put the book down, and I held on tight. So, this is only a 4 out of 5 stars because I hated all the characters. I hated them so much. It is what it is. So good. I'm looking forward to reading the second one, honestly. Okay, so it stopped filming again. I think we're only 4 that we're missing. So I'm just gonna jump right into it. We have A Court of Frost and Starlight by Sarah J. Maas. So this is a fluffy novella. A lot of people don't really like it, but I thought it was fine. I think that we needed this kind of fluff and happiness and all that fun stuff after the heaviness of the last novel. I don't know, like, it was nice to just see them all opening presents and being happy. It also was in the perspective of people who we haven't really gotten to see inside of their minds yet, so that was a nice thing. And also, it gave us more insight into what the next novels might be about, with the rising tensions with people and all that stuff. So that's, I don't want to ruin anything, but that's, I'm pretty excited and looking forward to that. I gave it a 4-star review, 4 to 5, again, because there's not much content to it, and also there are some scenes that are pretty, like, a lot. Like, it's a bit ridiculous, honestly, but again, like, it's nice, you know? I have Saga by Brian Vaughan, and it is illustrated by Fiona Staples. So this is about 2 warring species that they're both right there. So these 2 characters here get married and have a baby, and that is very frowned upon by their species, and essentially they are getting hunted down for it. It's a very graphic novel. There are a lot of violence and death depicted, and sexual acts and all that stuff, so it's not really for little eyes, but overall it seems like it's gonna be a really good story. There's lots of lore that seems to be coming into it, which is gonna be good to learn about. I gave it, I think 4 stars, but maybe 3 stars. I'll have to double check. I am looking forward to reading the rest of them. I'm not huge in graphic novels, but I do appreciate them from time to time. The next one I have, I actually rented it from the library, and I went back 2 days ago, so I don't have a physical copy of it anymore, but it is The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. So, The Night Circus is about 2 magicians that are in a competition. They're bonded to this competition, and one of them has to win. The competition sets the stage on the circus that they have to build up and make beautiful and grand. So this story was beautiful. It was by far my favorite read of all of 2019 so far. It had everything, like romance, the romance between Marco and Celia. It was beautiful. All the characters were very cool. The Night Circus itself was very cool. I really enjoyed the character of Bailey and how he was just kind of out of the ordinary, stuck in a life that he wasn't really happy with and wanting to have more experience and not just live a small life on a farm. My favorite part of the story, though, was that it was non-linear. I liked the idea of it just jumping around. So it's hectic the way that the story itself is for the characters. This is a 5-star read for me. Honestly, it was so amazing. Anyone who hasn't read it should read it. It's very, very good. And it's just so atmospheric and beautiful. And my last read was To Be Your Girl by Ray Kennedy, which was an ARC that I was sent. And it is a romance about a girl going into her final year of university and moving in with her brother and her brother's best friend. Her and her brother's best friend fall in love, and it's the story of their relationship. So this story had a lot that I love in romance. The bad boy trope, the kind of forbidden love. It wasn't too smutty, so that's always nice. I like smut as much as the next person, but sometimes it's a bit too much, you know? So this had a good amount. The relationship's very sweet. Overall, I really liked it. I gave it a 4-star review just because I did not like the ending of it. I don't like when stories do the big time jump where it's like, this big thing happened, but now we're just gonna throw you a year later and this is where everything is. I'm not a huge fan of that whole thing. I don't like that. And so this does that, but the very, very end of it, it wrapped itself together in a way that I liked. So I am giving it a 4-star, but I was a fan of that. I thought it was very sweet. That's all 14 books that I read. 14. All 13 books that I read. Yeah. Until next week. Or whenever. Like, subscribe, comment, all that fun stuff. And I'll see you then.